The world is infested with art collectors, artifact collectors, and more especially people who show appreciation for the rarest things that somebody in the world has found valued as something outrageously rare and ancient that's priceless. Yet, there are still some people out there who'll be able to afford a $1.2 million vase for the guest room or for the toilet window. This is where the ancient act of trading began and still continues anyway. The fact is, the desire of people will never fade and has always existed ever since the beginning of modern-day man. Cars, on the other hand, are one of man's greatest desire. It's been this way since the Industrial Revolutions and still is today, to a more futuristic extreme. There are some vehicles, especially in the form of classic rarest cars, which have become highly sought after by some of the richest collectors in the world, who spend days, months, if not years hunting for certain models of cars. And, to filter the list out of the many automotives in thousands of production till date, here's top 10 rarest cars in the world that you've probably haven't even heard of. The rarity of the cars have been ranked by popularity, overall fame, price, worth, as well as year of production. 10. Packard Panther. We may consider this car exactly what its last name suggests, panther, being the inspired shape of its exquisite and rather unique design of that era, which in the forefront appeared like that of the face of the cat itself. Packard Panther's concept design was meant to show the world where the design and future of cars were heading back in that era, and has certainly given attention to detail in shaping it exactly as envisioned. The Packard Company had plans to feature a new fleet design by the late 1950s, yet hasn't gone full-blown into production, which leaves the Panther to remain one of the rarest cars in the name. This 1954 masterpiece is a rare of its kind and also featured the flicker lights. Packard Panther can be picked up for around $800,000. Strangely, if you look closer at the front of how it's designed, you would see a mustache-shaped bumper and grid, which is one of the most distinctive features of the car. 9. Tucker. 48 feet. As the year suggests, 1948 is a long time back from now, and which ultimately means very rare also. Here we're looking at a rarity that truly defined what big-built cars has always been about. Men of the 40s sure would have enjoyed driving in one of these sedans and owning one as a family car too. I'm picturing men with double-breasted suits, fedora hats, and about 2 children, boy and girl, and that very homely type country wife in the front seat, and a scrambly car which makes a lot of noise as it takes off. Preston Tucker, being the father of this large-built car, has only unfortunately managed to make 51 of these before the collapse and shutdown of his company, and ultimately making it one of the rarest cars in the world today. In honor of Preston Tucker's unfinished dream, a 1988 movie called Tucker, the Man and His Dream has been centered around the production of this car in that era. The value of the Tucker 48 feet car now is estimated to be of $1.2 million in value. If the Aston Martin Bulldog and the DeLorean were parked next to each other, it would have subconsciously given the impression to a viewer that either one of the cars are an older or newer model of each other, seeing that its unusual flat and shape is highly identical to each other, which includes the doors which open upwards. The car can also be misinterpreted at first fast glance at being an older model of a Lamborghini as well. And Lambos have only one shape known commonly to the world in its unconventional design, and so does the Aston Martin Bulldog. Aston Martins in general have always featured its classic design, even in the modernized versions too, but they did it all different with the Bulldog. The gull-wing doors which open upwards are definitely a unique addition to the car, making it one of its kind. Aston Martin as a company planned to produce 25 limited editions to test the sales of it, but only one Bulldog was actually ever built. Estimated value now $1.3 million. 7. Mercedes-Benz 300 SL gull-wing. Speaking of rare cars with gull-wing doors, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL also had one to pull up as a two-seater of luxury back then, just as how we have our two-seater luxuries today, which are extremely expensive, while very common and in high production on the supercar markets today. The Merc 300 SL gull-wing, however, is both a combination of rare and very expensive too, if you manage to find one for the purchase today. This beauty had lasted around 2 years in production until, due to development of a newer Roadster concept version. Regardless of the beauty not being very long in production, it has been one of the fastest top-speed cars in the world of its time. Having this much and a 3.0 engine from which the 300 came from, as well as being fuel-injected with its sleek classic European luxury coupe design to boast, surely makes the 300 SL one of the rarest cars in the world, which banks it at an estimated $1.5 million today. This was certainly a bird that spread its wings and flew as fast as it could on the road. 6. Talbot Lago Grand Sport. Talbot Lago, wow, looks exactly like a more civilized version of the famous Batman car. There is also much similarity between the front of the Talbot and the front of a vintage Aston Martin as well. By vintage I mean more in the DB5 production design concepts. The back of the car, in shape however, is truly conventional and curved, making it look elongated at the back, which is one of the most distinctive features overall even at first appearance. Talbot Lago Grand Sport can be considered as a presidential vehicle of its time, as it certainly gives off an upper society appeal to its shape, design and price even in those days. To conclude it for you properly, it can be taken as a hot rod back and an Aston front fused to give us one Lago design. Talbot Lago Grand Sport is part of legendary automotive history and has had only 12 produced, with people paying over $2.5 million for the share of golden car history. Worse, used to our fixed mindsets and images of what a Porsche would look like in our minds, and we always somehow go back to one commonly visualized shape all in all, regardless of what model we picture. This may be due to seeing one shape of a Porsche all the time, and nobody could blame us. Throughout the years, Porsche S.Sands failed to maintain its gecko-shaped design in all the models, or at least to actually be the front, sort of the opposite on the Helica de Leite, seeing that the pointy side of the body faces the back. Oh, and the front, well, the front has a large circle with a fan, the kind that looks like those types of boats which can also drive on land hovercrafts. The fact is, being manufactured in the 1920s, very early 20s, and this is definitely one of the oldest and rarest cars in the world. Only 30 were made. Being manufactured by a French automobile company, it has been dubbed as the plane without wings, seeing that the large rotor blade in front made it appear so, as well as a passenger who sat behind the driver like in the planes of those days were. The giant propeller which could be visible at the forefront was the engine of this uniquely designed vehicle. 1. Rolls-Royce 15 HP. The Rolls-Royce 15 HP is certainly the most rarest car in the world, seeing that it was the first car model to have been produced by Charles Rolls and Henry Royce, and which obviously have been the launcher of the success of the brand at which they are proud to have today. Started off in 1904, the very beginning of the 20th century, of where motorcars were one of the biggest inventions ever made since the 1800s, and so can you imagine even this in that era, and how exciting the production of this vehicle would have been. A total of 6 Rolls-Royce 15 HPs were made, and only one is still known of existence. The name of the car suggested its horsepower being 15, which is modest and sort of funny to us now, but obviously considered a powerhouse of its day. Although, in its design it might have appeared to be a beast of a car in its day, this was actually a regular on the streets. The lone remaining Rolls-Royce 15 HP can be seen touring the world in car shows and automotive shows around the globe, and is estimated by insurance companies to be within the value of around $35 million.